Hey, Kids the Witch here. I really don't have a video for today. I don't have any notes for this. This is very off the cuff. And I'm sorry I don't have any diagrams or anything like that. It is a trigger warning that I will be showing pictures of what happened this week in the US. This week being the week of January 4th, 2021. So for those of you who are outside of the US and are not familiar with what's going on, there's just a lot of chaos, and I guess I just want to talk about that as witches in our place in sort of the political sphere. So I don't have an outline for this, so this is completely off the cuff. Excuse me if I pause a lot or drop a lot of ums and ahs. So anyway, if you are not familiar, there was basically what amounted to a bunch of right extremists just sort of marching into the Capitol building in Washington DC, and they evacuated all the Congress people and everything, but they got past the police barricades. Of course there was not a lot of police, and just sort of marched in and wrecked crap. They did a lot of damage. They were able to be cleared out, but as a person of color, it's kind of frustrating. Because this past summer when George Floyd died and was killed by the cops, when the protests happened in DC, they brought the National Guard in the tanks. And rumor has it that the Department of Defense denied mobilization of the National Guard at first at the Capitol building. And one of the realities of America is that there is a huge race disparity, and I think it goes without saying that if the rioters this past week had been black or POC, or brown or black, just not white, suffice to say, I think it would have been a lot worse. It probably would have been a massacre. So now that you sort of have the context of it, I think we just need to talk a little bit about politics and witchcraft. And I think witchcraft is, despite people who are very love and light, no dissing them really, but having something purely love and light does not a witch make, I think. I think that because witchcraft was sort of built on the backs of people who are on the fringe or who defied society, it's inherently political. And I don't think you can separate the two. To do so, I think, sort of, if you ignore it, if you think it's not your problem, you're rolling into, or everyone needs to get along, we want to keep that status quo or keep things back to normal. I think that there's a danger of falling into toxic positivity, which is something I will talk about in another video. But yeah, I believe that witchcraft is inherently political. And so now that I've just given you the background as to why I'm talking about this right now, and my opinions on the politics of witchcraft, how can we do stuff? How can we help? I think those of you who are more action inclined and, have that bandwidth, have that energy to support people who have that strength, go get involved. Get involved in political drives. Get involved in activism in your own hometown. There's probably plenty of homegrown places, for example, things like Reclaim the Block, which I believe is Minnesota, which is trying to sort of, revitalize and help out, basically. Another thing you can do is volunteer at a soup kitchen, volunteer at a animal shelter. Like, hey, animals are also like just a good cause too. Yeah, so you can do a lot of that. And if you can't, like, you don't have the bandwidth, and or you just are not in a position to right now, and that's perfectly fine. You just do what you can. Like, even if it's like writing or calling your senator when you want human rights to be sort of adhered to. If you care about a cause, like, call them, send them letters, that sort of thing. Sign petitions. And that's just even on the physical level. On the more spiritual and metaphysical level, you can always do things like cast, like, protection spells, sort of, you know, making a ritual of it, just sort of being like, please, universe, keep these people safe, especially because a lot of times people get hurt and it's not great. So that's one thing you can do. And then I mean, there are little things, even if you feel like it's nothing, even if you feel like it's just a little drop of what you could really do, just remember that a drop makes ripples. When a drop hits the thing, it spreads out, just spreads out. So one drop can make a difference. Vote, I guess. Voting is important. I know we can be disenchanted by voting, like the status quo doesn't change, things like that, but sometimes you need to vote, and while it won't change automatically, can make those incremental steps, you know? And I mean, there's plenty of books on witchy activism. I'll link them below in the comments, but I just personally think that, like, you just can't stand by and do nothing. But, like, again, the most important thing also, like, as you try to be at war, is if you have the energy and the time and, like, the bandwidth, like, please take care of yourself in between. You don't want to burn out. You don't want to burn the candle at both ends. So also know your limits. I know that seems really counterintuitive, like you should, you know, put your all in it, but even fighters need rest. So also be sure to take care of yourself. And like I said, if you're not in a position to do this right now, like, I understand. There's always the thing, like, when you're in an airplane, you put your oxygen mask on yourself first and before other people. I know I'm rambling a lot, but I guess the long story short is, you know, if you can, be active in any way you want to. Just, I think that witchcraft is, again, there's an aspect of politics to it, and to remove ourselves from it, or remove ourselves from that reality, it's just, we're just sort of lying to ourselves. And I think, especially after what happened this week, it's even more important to try to make a difference. And I mean, I'm not just talking about younger witches, like millennials, Zoomers, things like that. I'm even talking to older witches, like Gen X and Boomers, and yeah. Like, again, people can make a difference, even if it doesn't feel like it. And I think we as witches have that responsibility to sort of fight for what's right. Anyway, sorry about that serious topic, but I will catch you on the flip side, and I will have a much nicer palette cleanser of a video. Until then, bye.